So if you've used an AI tool lately, you know the feeling, right? It's a little bit like magic. But have you ever really stopped to wonder what's going on behind the curtain? Well, today we're going to dive in. We're going to pull that curtain all the way back and see how you can go from just being a user to actually becoming a builder of your very own AI.
You know the drill by now. It feels just like a conversation. You type something in, maybe you upload a document, and bam, almost instantly you get this incredibly detailed, coherent response. It's a seriously powerful tool, and honestly, millions of us are getting pretty used to it.
Okay, but this is where that magic starts to get a little complicated. When you use one of these big public AI systems, what actually happens to all that information you're feeding it? Where does it all go? And maybe more importantly, who's the one deciding what that AI even knows in the first place? These are the questions we really need to start asking.
And that brings us to the first big idea we need to talk about. See, there's this hidden trade-off happening every single time you use a public AI, and it's all about your data.
Think about it. With those big commercial tools, the companies behind them are saving everything. All your questions, all your prompts. Why? Well, they're using our conversations to train their next generation of models. But with a private local AI running on your own machine, that whole equation just gets flipped on its head. Your data stays your data, period.
And this promise, this is everything. This means you have total data sovereignty. Everything you do, every single question you ask, every document you upload, it all remains yours, and yours alone. It is a massive shift in control, taking it away from some giant company and putting it right back where it belongs, in your hands.
So how do we actually make this happen? It's not nearly as complicated or out of reach as you might think. We can bring all that AI power right in-house onto a system that you own and you manage completely. When you hear the words AI server, you probably picture some massive data center with rows and rows of humming machines, right? But the reality is, really powerful AI can run on something surprisingly simple. We're talking about a small, reliable, and pretty affordable machine. Something like a Mac Mini, sitting right there on your desk. This makes private AI incredibly accessible to just about anyone.
All right, before we go any further, let's just demystify the core technology here. The brain behind all these systems is something called a large language model, or LLM for short. Now, that might sound super complex, but the key thing to remember is really simple. Deep down, an LLM is just math. That's it. It's a giant statistical analysis of whatever data it was trained on. It is not thinking. It is not conscious. It's just math.
And the process to make one is actually pretty straightforward. First, you start with a gigantic data set. Think of huge chunks of the entire internet. Then you feed all that data through a mathematical algorithm. And the output, what comes out the other side, isn't the original data itself, but a compressed statistical representation of it. That final bundle of numbers and probabilities, that is the model. Okay, so once you have your own private system up and running, the benefits go way beyond just privacy. You're no longer stuck with just one AI. You actually get to choose the best brain for whatever job you're doing. And this is a total game changer. The big commercial AIs, they try to be good at everything, which usually means they aren't a true expert in any one specific thing. But in the world of private AI, there are literally thousands of different models, and each one has its own unique training and its own expertise, just like human specialists. Let me show you a perfect example. We asked two totally different models the same question about creating a positive school culture. The first one, it was trained on leadership principles, and it gives this fantastic answer about vision, relationships, and being inclusive. The second one, trained on something called the science of reading, also gives a good answer, but it has a much more instructional tone, right? It's focused on the curriculum. Same question, two very distinct, specialized answers. But what if you could go even one step further than just choosing a model? What if you could build your very own perfectly tailored AI assistant? Well, you absolutely can. And here's the best part. It's not about writing code. So the first ingredient is something called the system prompt. Think of this as the AI's job description. It's a set of hidden instructions that you write in plain English, telling the AI how to behave and what its goal is. A great way to think about it is like a GPS. Your GPS only gives you directions based on its preset roles, right? It avoids highways if you tell it to. Well, with a system prompt, you are setting those rules for your AI. The second ingredient is the knowledge base. This is where you give your AI its specific, unique expertise. You can upload your own documents, your own policy manuals, style guides, research papers, whatever. It's exactly like handing a new employee the keys to the company file cabinet and saying, here is everything you need to know to do your job perfectly.
So the whole process of building your own AI, it's not about coding at all. It's more like giving it a job description and a library card. You just pick a base model to start with, you write out its instructions in the system prompt, you give it your own documents as its knowledge base, and then you just start talking to it. You test it, you see how it behaves, and then you go back and you tweak the instructions. It's this simple back and forth process of making it better and better.
All of this leads to a really powerful conclusion. The future of this technology, it isn't just about using a single giant AI for everything. No, it's about creating a whole suite of personal, private, and purpose-built tools that work exactly the way you want them to. So let's just quickly recap the big takeaways here. First, and most importantly, you can use AI in a way that is 100% private and secure. Second, you are not limited to some one-size-fits-all model. You can pick the right expert for any task you have. And finally, and this is the most empowering part, you have the power to easily build your very own custom assistants.
Look, at the end of the day, AI is one of the most powerful tools humanity has ever created. And as we've just seen, it's becoming more and more accessible every single day. So that leaves us with the most important question of all. Who do you think should be in control of it? The giant company that built the model, or you?